Okay, everyone is being recorded currently, and I am Christy Jones, the HR manager for Uncle Classic Barbershop, and today we're going to go through the management training. This is a requirement that we need to do every year for the barbershop. It goes through various topics, but mostly talking about harassment, diversity and inclusion, and also safety. I don't want this view. Okay, here we go. So all employees who are full-time at Uncle are eligible for medical, dental, and vision, as you all know. So you want to make sure that your employees are working at least 30 hours a week in order to be eligible for benefits. This quarter just ended on 4/30, and as soon as we process payroll today, um, I'm going to be sending Chrissy a report that shows everyone's average hours per week, and I assume that she'll be giving that to you guys so that you can go over that with your team. There is only one card for all of the plans. So if you just have the dental plan, you're going to have the same card as someone would for medical or vision. If someone needs a card, please let me know. Lindsay Thompson is listed here. She's the benefits broker. So if you have very specific questions, you're having a surgery, things like that, you can always reach out to Lindsay for more specifics. I'm going to go through a few things with the handbook. So we are an equal opportunity employer, meaning we do not discriminate on any of the protected classes. But we're not only an equal opportunity employer, but we're an employer who gives employees chances. Some have left. We've recently rehired some employees. So we like to give opportunities to those that maybe weren't successful in the past with us, but we have found rehiring them has been a success. Our dress code, it is your responsibility as a manager to ensure that our employees are following the dress code. And of course, you as a manager are held to a high standard. You're representing the brand at Uncle. Employment verifications, if you receive any of those, if you get a call about a former employee or a paper form about someone's apartment complex that needs verification, if they're buying a house, all of that information should be sent over to me. Absenteeism and scheduling. So everyone should be ready to go at the start of their shift, but you may clock in and report to work up to 15 minutes prior to the shift. Everyone needs to make sure that they're prepared, and at the end of the shift, taking up to 15 minutes to clean their station and prepare the shop for the next shift or the next day. If you need to take off work, if an employee needs to take off, they need to find someone to cover their shift. If they're unable to find coverage, they must make sure that they notify you at least 2 weeks prior to taking off work. If an employee cannot work due to illness, they should notify you at least 2 hours prior to their shift. Of course, I know there's extenuating circumstances that come up from time to time. Unless it's an emergency, an employee should not ask another employee to call in for them. And then employees are not allowed to block themselves off without permission from their manager. Disciplinary action. First, we like to give a verbal, written, final, prior to termination. But if it's something egregious, something that's really major, we can really skip these steps and go forward with a termination or with the final. And then, as you guys probably know, usually we're involved, Chrissy or myself, and we'll help you write the document. We have an open door policy, so we ask that employees bring their concern to you first, and then after that, they can go to Chrissy or myself, and then any type of confidential information will be kept confidential and protected from retaliation. Conflict of interest, it is a conflict to work for a competitor or a supplier of Uncle, borrowing money from clients. If you are given a gift or tickets or something that's major, you may want to make sure that that is okay. And then violating your non-compete if you leave the company. Of course, you can't work within a 10-mile radius of any of our barbershops. We comply with ADA and Pregnancy Disability Act. So if you have an employee who has a disability or is pregnant, that is considered a temporary disability. We want to try to accommodate. If you have someone who needs to be off work or needs an accommodation, make sure you just let us know. Leave of absence, if you have an employee, again, that needs to be off work for military, medical for themselves, medical reasons to take care of a family member, they have a child, adoption, or any type of personal reasons, including any mental health reasons, they can take a leave of absence. So just let us know that. So this portion talks a little bit about our safety training, which is a required training that we have to have each year. Some of these items that I'm going to go over are not really applicable or may not be applicable to your barbershop. So what is lockout tagout? It is the control of hazardous energy. So these are the types of energy listed here. This is what a lockout tagout equipment looks like. And this is located next to one of our shops. So that's a lockout, tag out mechanism. So someone has a key and they're able to open this container, which includes another locking key inside. An authorized employee is control of the lock and the tag. The affected employee is the person that is using the powered equipment. And anyone and everyone in a work area can be affected by the powered equipment. A lot of times you will see lockout, tagout if you're working in a manufacturing type of industry. If you do see one of these, you want to make sure that you're not tampering with locks, trying to take off locks. If you have any questions, please reach out. We do have these types of energized equipment in our locations. So if there is any type of issue with any equipment that you have, please make sure that it's removed or cut the cord so that it's not able to be used. If you want to bring in any type of appliances into the shop, please make sure that you get permission to do so. A couple years ago, we had someone bring in a panini machine to make paninis during lunch, and someone in the shop got burned, and then it became a workman's comp issue. So if you are bringing a toaster or any type of appliance, just make sure that it's okay to bring in. Blood-borne pathogens are microorganisms that are present in human blood and can cause disease in humans. These type of infectious materials, hopefully we don't have some of these at our shop locations, but any substance contaminated with blood is an infectious material. The types and the two most concerning blood-borne pathogens are HIV and HBV. And in addition, some other things to look out for and to protect yourself against these type of viruses. So to prevent, you can wear latex gloves. and also use eye protection. But most importantly, we want to make sure in our roles that we are washing our hands. We're working very closely with clients and other employees, so trying to keep down any type of disease. You should have these eye protection and gloves in your shop. So after our call today, if you can make sure that you guys have those in a cabinet somewhere. So how can you be exposed? A sharps container, accidents in the workplace, bathroom, coworker illnesses. What do you do if you're exposed? Wash your hands. If there's anything that gets into your eyes, use an entire bottle of eye wash solution. Report the exposure. In the event that you need any type of medical assistance, let me know. Call 911. We can get you some help. Emergency preparedness, all of you should have a fire extinguisher in your shop location. Those should be inspected annually, usually done by city ordinance. If that's not happening or you're not aware of that, please let me know. How to use it is to pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the lever slowly, and sweep from side to side. Everyone should have a first aid kit in their location. So please make sure that you have that and it has all of the supplies that you need. So make sure that you have bandages and Band-Aids. I think those are probably the most used reasons that we're using our first aid kits in our barbershop, and making sure that those are full. So if you can take a look at those today and let me know. You should also have a bottle of eye wash in your first aid kits. If you do not, let me know and I will order that for you. In the event of an active shooter, you want to make sure that your exits in the shop, if you have a back door, that it is free of any type of materials, boxes, cabinets, because we need to have those exit routes available to use. Number one, in the event of an active shooter, you want to make sure that you can run and get out. Number two, if you're not able to, you want to barricade yourself if possible. At last resort, taking action against the shooter, um, acting aggressively towards the shooter, um, will help protect you, and call 911 when you are in a place that you are safe, having everyone call 911, and stating exactly what you need and what location you're at. HAZCOM stands for Hazard Communication Standard. It's aligned with the globally harmonized system. This basically means that each employee at your shop has a right to know which chemicals they're encountering on a daily basis. Hazardous materials are any substance or chemical which is a health hazard or a physical hazard. The globally harmonized system will look like this. A health hazard warning will appear to look like this and can be very hazardous to your health and toxic to your health. This means that the product or the chemical is flammable. This means that it could be an irritant to your eye or skin. This is gas under pressure. Most often you'll see this on a truck. This means that it could be corrosive, burn your skin, damage your eyes. And this is an explosive. A flame over a circle means it is an oxidizer. So if it comes in contact with something else, it could oxidize. And this is harmful to the environment, typically the water. And this skull and crossbones is fatal or toxic. All of you have a safety data sheet binder, and they have all the information on the chemicals that you're encountering in your shop. So that is when we're saying the globally harmonized system. You have a right to know what chemicals you come in contact with. That is why we are legally obligated to have these data sheets on all the products that we have in our shop. They have 16 categories for each chemical or item that you have in the shop. And all of your chemicals in the shop should have labels on them. If you have a water bottle in your shop and it is not labeled, if you can label that today as H2O or water. If you have a bottle that's a water bottle and it's purple or it doesn't appear to look like water, we want to make sure that we don't have that in the shop, that we are using only bottles that have the labels of the chemicals listed on them. So if you have any questions, please reach out. And then if we do have to label a bottle ourselves, this is what it must include here. This section goes over personal protective equipment. OSHA defines it as equipment worn to minimize exposure to hazards. Types of PPE are listed here. Hand protection. So most of us in the shops, the only thing that we need are those rubber gloves that we have in our cabinets. And then eye protection. So all of you should have a pair of goggles in your shop in the event that you need to use those for any type of protection, but they are legally required to have those, at least one pair in each shop location. Who is responsible? So everyone is responsible for wearing proper PPE. And additional safety concerns. So again, blades need to be kept in a location that's not accessible. They must be placed in a sharp container, disposed of properly, must have a clear path to the back door, and a clear path to the electrical panel and water shutoff valve. Our next topic is harassment and respect training. So our harassment and discrimination policy at Uncle states that we are dedicated to maintaining a work environment free from all forms of illegal harassment, and it includes all of those protected classes listed there. Hierarchy. So hierarchy of harassment occurs from the top down. The person in power is the only one in the situation that can provide a quid pro quo. If you have an issue with harassment in your shop, please make sure you reach out and let me know. I can always help with that. The general rules for harassment is don't touch others, don't hug unless you ask, like, hey, can I give you a hug? We want to make sure that you're keeping it clean, no swearing, no inappropriate talking in the break rooms or in front of clients. And then your sex life is your own business. People don't want to hear about that. And then no nicknames. Nicknames are generally just can be discriminatory in nature. So if you've always called someone, grandma, because it's the oldest person on the team and they're okay with it today, but in 5 years they get upset and they say, well, they always called me grandma and I felt discriminated against, then it can become an issue. If it happens to you, no, thank you. I'm not interested. A lot of times, if there's someone saying something inappropriate to you, it's because they're trying to get a rise out of you. Do not take persistence lightly. If you don't feel safe, please seek help. Report it to Chrissy or myself or dial 911. If it happens to you, no, no, thank you. Again, report it to manager, and keep notes of the incident. The process of a complaint. So in the event of a complaint, it should be reported to Chrissy or myself. I will immediately conduct an investigation. And if it's determined that an employee has violated our harassment policy, the employee may be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. And of course, there's no retaliation. Retaliation is when we fire an employee or take an adverse action because you raised a complaint to us. Social media, having respect of your coworkers, um, to the company, the owner. So if you're posting a lot of things that are maybe political in nature or very opinionated in nature, you might want to have on your social media page that your views are yours alone and do not reflect the views of your employer. If you have posted that you are working at Uncle Classic Barbershop on your social media page. No posting about our competitors, and of course, keeping the information confidential about Uncle that you may have knowledge of. So friending coworkers on Facebook, a lot of times people just want to be nosy and see what you're up to. So just be conscientious of that. If you're a manager and you're friending some of your employees, it's okay to do, but you can't let things that they post come into the workplace unless it is something that may be in violation if they're posting something negative about a coworker on their personal Facebook page, and that comes into the workplace, they can be held responsible for that. So diversity and inclusion. So diversity is understanding that each individual is unique and recognizing our individual differences. So a lot of times people think that diversity, when they think of it, they think of race, but it is all of these things that are listed here. Experiences in life, where they grew up versus where you grew up, different cultures, different religions. So diversity and inclusion is about giving value to every human being, being kind, being respectful, no matter our differences.